once again, I am not surprised. So you may remember a while ago we talked about LEGO Pokémon, the full-on wave that they're doing after the beginning, where they were just like, oh, you know, here are a few sets which are large brick built models. These ones are the actual sets we're going to be getting this year. And we talked about, you know, maybe 3 or so that I think were leaked a bit early. These ones we've got some official images of now, and boy, there are a lot. I figured let's go and chat about them. I'm decently invested in the things, and I'll say, like, you know, as like for how they look, honestly, I might have warmed up to them a little. They're still a little janky. They've got some issues here and there, but let's go ahead and you know, take a look at them. I'll share some of my thoughts on them there. So we got Pikachu here, and this one is a smart brick one, as you can see. So as I mentioned, these sets, I was a little about them because they're going to be brick built Pokemon, which I think can look fine and, you know, maybe charming in their own way. However, you miss out a lot when you're not making, you know, bigger kind of play sets and minifigure compatible. Now that I'm seeing some of the actual play sets, you know, I'm not so gung-ho on like saying, oh, it should have been minifigure compatible the whole time, because, you know, just seeing that what they can do with some of the play sets, I actually think this is a good one here. Again, the smart brick thing is the main thing that I'm just like, I'm against, because it's gonna make this cost a bunch. I don't know if we have a price for this one necessarily, but it's a Pikachu one, is 400 pieces, and that big old chunk of like this thing here, you see this is not even the smart brick. This is a charger for it. This is a little charging pad and a little cable that you use to charge it. And I think the smart brick goes inside Pikachu. You know, we got some glowing here on his tummy, so I think that's it. And as you can see, like, the whole point is that here's a little Pikachu. He's got a smart brick inside him, and which has a little speaker that generates sounds. And when it interacts with this tile here on the sandwich, he's gonna make a little sound. When it interacts with this tile here next to this target, he's gonna make a sound, and so on and so on. That's how it works, is when you have these connected to other things. And there's probably like a tile inside Pikachu that makes it so that he's making only Pikachu sounds, and then it applies to different Pokemon. So that's the whole thing. That's the whole story about smart bricks, which, as I've said, are just not really selling like hotcakes, because the thing is, like, Lego's already really pricey. So then when you're having sets that compromise some design space for a big old electronic component, yeah, people are going to buy even less of them. So that's the whole thing. The real question is, will Pokemon save smart play and smart breaks? Oh, no, probably not. It's I guarantee you in 2 years we're not going to see any more smart brick sets. But point is, you know, looking at this for what it is, minus the smart brick compatibility, I think this is fine. You know, he's very square, and Charmander was very square-headed too. But now that I'm seeing this type of shape on more Pokemon, I've warmed up to it a little more, or maybe I've just given up. Point is that, you know, what, he's about the same size as like the Lego Mario might be, which is also not smart brick, but it has an electronic component in some way. So there's that. But you know, give him a little thing to play on. That's kind of nice here. It looks better. Mewtwo, I think it looks a little worse for wear. This is in scale with the little Pikachu, I suppose, and he's probably a little more posable. But it's really interesting. So again, you know, the Pikachu one, let's see. He commits to the square head. He commits to the little block head, and I think that works out, especially, again, you know, we saw it with Jigglypuff, Charmander, and so on, and the other ones. But then Mewtwo trying to have, like, more Mewtwo-like proportions, but still maintaining some weird blocky parts here, like the legs, the tummy, and then kind of the head. I don't think this looks good. I'm sorry. Interesting, neat way of doing the tail. And they put him in the tube, but, you know, they didn't want to commit to a bunch of big old pieces to build the actual tube. So he's just kind of floating here in a, I don't know, some test chamber that he can break out of, I guess. That's a nice, that might not be a print. That's probably a sticker. But it looks nice. That'll be really neat. Look at that. And look, see, they just make them like that. So again, I think that it's interesting that we're seeing it with a little basic Pokemon. They're committing to this style. And again, you know, I was critical of it at first, but like I said, now I'm seeing it in more things. I appreciate it a bit more. It's kind of Funko Poppy kind of Pokemon Quest. That was the one where they're all little cubes. And I think that can work. I think that can work when you do it well enough. I think it's all that Mewtwo isn't committing to it. I don't like the Mewtwo one. This one, Eevee and Lapras, I think that's kind of neat. Again, Eevee committing to that style. Honestly, the Eevee looks really good. I think it hits the shape really well. Again, you know, we saw Eevee as like a bigger buildable figure, which still I'm not a fan of. But in here, I think it looks nice. It's a little kind of a playset again, you know. Kind of wish they would commit to these playset things and make them bigger. But of course, you know, maybe that's gonna increase the price a bit. Lapras, I think, looks nice. I think Lapras gets the shape of Lapras overall well. Still kind of a cubey thing here with the body and how it is, and kind of, I guess, a bit the front. But Lapras, that's the thing. Lapras actually looks really good, and you know, if you stretch it, could hypothetically be in scale, maybe with minifigures, but maybe not so much. I'm gonna stop talking about that portion. But they got a little pirate shipwreck build. I think it's fine. Again, you know, I think it should have been bigger. Eevee on a little raft. Again, yeah, Eevee looks great, but there, you know, maybe that's the reason they're putting it in the set with a bunch of other big old pieces, so you got to spend money to get the Eevee. Then we got Mew with some ruins and whatever this is. It has a little smart break tile on it, so when you put somebody on it, Pikachu, I'm assuming, you put Pikachu on it, Pikachu's in the little ship, and it'll make like little boo 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 sounds or whatever. Ruins here, I would have preferred if there were just no ship and just all ruins. Just build out the ruins, make a playset. Lego just feels allergic to making playsets, and again, you know, even in Lego Mario, which is one that is using these bigger pieces, right? I think that that's their way of getting away with it, right? You're spending so many pieces on the Pokemon, spending so many pieces on like the builds or the enemies in Mario and whatever, and you're selling the electronic component to it, and so it's like, okay, that's already the value, so you can include less bricks. These aren't ruins. This is like a stack of rocks here. Oh, we got some berries too. And again, just the fact that we got a big old ship. So, that's the thing is that, like, I know kids are different and kids play differently. Not every kid is going to be satisfied with a dollhouse nowadays. They want like a ship that makes sounds and whatever. But again, the whole question is whether that money is going to be spent on this, on Pokemon, or something else. You know, Mew's a good amount of a draw. Maybe this one could have used one more Pokemon, and you can still insert your Pikachu here to fly in the little ship, and so on. So, again. Next, we got this one. Okay, this one we saw last time with the whole little grave. And Gengar, I think Gengar is just way too chunky maybe for this. Like, it's in scale with everything else, but again, just the fact that you're going to be spending so many pieces on this Gengar, there's that. And I think we talked about this build a bit more. Now that we can see things a little clearer, yeah, it's fine, but I still think that, again, so far, weirdly enough, the Pikachu, in terms of the playset build, is a winner, because it just feels like there's a little more to do aside from just hit the whatever targets. Then we got this one here, and we talked about this one again. And as I mentioned, it encapsulates the what I'm saying here, in that like these are just a bunch of rocks. This one, you step on that'll probably like break off and launch, and this launches out discs. But there's nothing beyond that aside from the little Pokemon builds, which again, I think the Geodude looks fine, looks nice as a block. I think maybe the Charmander, the problem is that they make the mouth stick out a bit. When with Pikachu, it's all smooth, and I think it looks better there. And then Jigglypuff, I think looks fine. Honestly, I kind of don't have too many complaints about this. Again, considering the fact that they're all going to be brick-built little things that are like big old chunky kind of messes, as you know, I'll say this: I think that the brick-built Pokemon in Mega Bloks were done a lot better. I think, you know, maybe I should try and hunt down some of those sets, and we'll talk about maybe the Mega Bloks and something else, maybe a main channel video, and it'll be scripted. Point is, yeah, we do that there. And then final one of this batch, we got Jolteon and Charizard. This one again being a smart break, and it looks like it comes with a smart break because we see it inside Jolteon here, and we see it inside Charizard here. So kind of don't like that we got that big old glowing obvious portion where it's like, oh, play with me, I do something, and again, there's kind of nothing here. We got, okay, the Pokeball, sure, that's a free add-in, but then this with targets, and this purple thing is just the Pokemon, which I think it's fine if it's just the Pokemon, but the fact that you're just going to include these little things here, and you know, I was talking good about Mega Bloks just a minute ago, but I'll say that was something Mega Bloks was guilty of just throwing in random rocks and half trees or whatever to say, hey, there's a playset. So this one, I think, and again, just the fact that the Charizard looks significantly worse than the Charizard in the statue, right? The statue slop. But, you know, I guess that's the price you pay for it being smaller. So, you know, that's it. And then the last ones we got here, we got Bulbasaur on the Blastoise mobile, which, okay, you know, something completely new, but just of all things, and I guess, like, okay, it's their, oh, it's remote control. It's a little remote control car. It's their way of, I guess, doing something. But again, the fact that it's like completely original isn't necessarily a problem, because what, the Pikachu treehouse and everything else is original. But this one is just like so removed from any sort of Pokemon logic. I'm curious of why that was done. Got a little burger on fire there, because, you know, the beach, you could have done a beach build. Get some sand, give Squirtle a little beach chair. I don't know, what could he interact with? Again, this is just something that's probably got to have a tile on it to make some noises and make some sounds, and maybe Squirtle himself too. So you'll see that. I mean, oh no, it's 320 pieces. This thing's gonna be like $40 or 45 or whatever. Squirtle looks good though. I will say, Squirtle looks good. Again, the fact that the good looking ones that commit to this like little blockhead style, this little Funko Pop-ish aesthetic, which again, all these Pokemon, I don't think looks bad. The ones that really commit to it and really do it well, you got a bunch of stuff here. You gotta buy a bunch of other plastic to get it, along with Eevee and Pikachu. Again, Eevee, Pikachu, Squirtle, I think they're looking good. Charmander, legit, maybe Charmander should have just had his snout printed on this, and it would have worked out, because Squirtle has like a bit of a, not necessarily a snout, but he's got like the kind of the turtle mouth on him, right? In the same way that Charmander would. And then we got Umbreon versus Garchomp, and these ones just look so bricky. Look at the Garchomp, so many exposed studs on it that I think, you know, normally is fine. Okay, here's the thing, is that every other Pokemon hardly has exposed studs on them, right? Maybe just like one or two on the top. Again, these ones that are really nailing down the aesthetic. Gengar, look, Gengar's got hardly any. So then just Garchomp, it looks so off. And Umbreon, I think, looks fine. It looks okay. But again, just the fact that like Umbreon is a Pokemon that is very known for being pretty slim. Most of the evolutions, but Umbreon, I think, specifically very slim, very sleek, and then you seeing it adapted into the blocky style here takes a little getting used to here. And then also the fact that they just throw in a trophy because they need something. It's a battle between two Pokemon in a stadium, but it's like you can't even build out any of the stadium. Sure, it's kind of a similar deal to the Charizard going on there. So we'll say that. I will say also, for some reason, I don't know, no one's posted an image of the Bidoof and the Bulbasaur here, but that's one, the Bidoof and the Bulbasaur, and from what I can see, I think it looks good. Bidoof looks good, Bulbasaur looks good. Once again, just that's my main point, is that the Pokemon that really commit to this little style, they really work. Unlike Charmander, which it gets a little weird, but this one, you know, very minimal build, and this is probably gonna be like $30 for both of them at least. So those are just some of my thoughts on Pokemon, on LEGO Pokemon, as we're continuing to get more info. I think I'm still not necessarily buying many of these. I feel like they sort of won me over. Again, you know, you can't always like make final judgment on leaks, I think. You know, maybe you can make final judgment on the ones that leak and don't look good, right? Like our buddy Charmander over here. But then once you get the full picture and actually see the ones that do work out, I'm come around to it. I don't think I'll buy any of these. Or, you know, I'll go with what I ended the last video on, is that wait until these go on clearance, because they are going to overstock these in stores. They're going to sit on shelves for a long time. That's my prediction. You know, it'd be interesting if I were wrong on that, but my prediction is going to be sitting on shelf stores for a while. People are not really going to get into them because, again, adults, I think adults would rather spend adult Lego fans, I think they'd rather buy different sets. Adult Pokemon fans, I think they'd rather buy different products like cards or whatever else. Kids, who again have even more limited budget, I think they'd rather just buy Pokemon toys, or again, they just want to get Pokemon cards too now. Everyone wants Pokemon cards. So I see these sitting on shelves for a while. Get them on half price when they go on clearance. That's my advice. That's my prediction, and that's what I'm gonna do. Otherwise, I will say, funny. This little tweet came up in everything by Captain Alex here. Friendly reminder that in China there is a brand called Keeply that makes officially licensed building sets for Lego. Each of them looks nicer than every one of the small Lego signs combined. And I think they do look nice. They got some nice little molded heads, so that at least keeps it there. And I think that, you know, if you're not leaning into that style, if you're not fully committing to the square style, just making the HUDs molded and then the brick built body, you get the shaping done a lot better, while still obviously being brick built. These ones are more kind of brickhead style, it looks like. And same with them. And then they got little diorama sets that that's just a Pokemon. That's just like here. I got a little Japanese Psyduck toy that hangs out here, and he's blown out by the light. I can't show anything unless I get anything set up, but I got a little Psyduck here. It looks the exact same as this, but I guess I got anti-studs on the bottom to stick in. Again, you know, in different countries, Pokemon has different licenses with different companies. I might try to hunt some of these down myself, because don't they look cute? But unfortunately, I may just end up spending as much as I would on on Pokemon stuff. So let me know what you think in the comments below about all the new LEGO Pokemon that we've gotten today. Or, well, yesterday, probably by the time you're watching this. Are you interested in any of them? Which would you get if you could? And are you excited to see the prices of these? Oh boy, anyway, this is GatorX. Thanks for watching. It's the second channel. Subscribe to the main channel if you want to see more structured type of stuff. And with better editing. But for now, you can always catch me yapping on this channel, and hopefully I'm still uploading here. You're subscribing, you're liking, you're commenting, especially means a lot. We're trying to reach monetization on this channel because they raised my rent here. Anyway, this is GatorX. Catch you later.